How's it going, everybody? This is David Jones here, and we are speaking on it for mental health. We are here with Sam Little, all the way from London, England, and he's here to talk about his influence in music and how it's helped him along the way during some of these struggles and during this time. So I would like to open the floor for Sam to tell us a little bit about what he does and how music has affected his life.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Samson Little. I'm Obeze Beats. I'm a producer over here in England, in the UK. I've been producing hip-hop, trap beats, experimental, R&B, grime, drill, whatever you really want, man. I'm the man for it.
What inspired you to start getting into making beats?
Okay, so to begin with, what happened was I used to actually do rapping. I did rapping for 7 years. I was in a really bad place. I was taking lots of drugs and things like this. And because I wasn't in that life anymore, I didn't feel like I could rap anymore. So instead of rapping, I started making beats. So I started on a mobile phone, on a HTC mobile phone, on an app called Music Maker Jam. And then 2 months after doing that, my stepfather gave me an old battered laptop, and I spent 2-3 months just every day grinding on FL Studio and just making it work and watching tutorials and just over and over and over and over again, repetition. It took me from Birmingham in the middle of the UK up to the northeast, which is where I am now. I'm not in London. I'm in the northeast of England at the top. So yeah, I actually moved here because of an artist that I'm working with currently. His name's Anthony Booth. We've been working together now for about 2 years. So yeah, it's literally taken me from the middle of the country to the northeast part of it, almost at the top. So it's one of those things.
It's absolutely amazing. I've looked into the history and the journey of all kinds of artists, producers, beat makers, and your story really resonates with me because I remember what it was like with a netbook. I don't know if you remember those little things. I think they still have them on the market. I'm not even sure. And I started making beats on this netbook with a program that I knew nothing about. It was just something that was on the netbook, and beat after beat after, they sounded terrible. And you remember, take yourself back to your first beat. And if someone listened to that, they'd be like, oh my goodness, what is this? And I love that because I definitely can relate to that. That's where I started too. Very humble beginnings, and I pushed through to get to where I wanted to be, which leads me into my next question. How has making the music helped you along the way? Because you did mention some struggles, in your life, in your previous life, the people you were around. So how has music helped you with those struggles?
Do you know what? Ever since when I was a young boy growing up, I always had a lot of issues with my anger. So writing either it sounds daft, but poetry, either short stories, even trying to play the keyboard and things like that when I was younger, just to express myself, as well as sports and other things. But music was such a big thing to me because it was such a natural thing. It just came so naturally, just ebb and flow. It was just easy. And yeah, sometimes it's not easy, do you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's difficult when you're trying to get certain things right and you're either writing things or your instrumentals, but either way, I feel it's the easiest way for me to express myself and get a lot of my, I guess, frustration out of me, do you know what I'm saying, into the beat. So there you go.
And again, I wanted to ask too, I'm assuming you're talking about your previous journey, but has this kind of been the same therapy for you during, let's say the pandemic, during the pandemic and the struggles and what, has there been any major changes in your life over the course of this time?
No, this is the thing. If anything, I've only started producing again in the last couple of 2 or 3 months. I actually took a 6-month break away from it because I was getting to a point where I was just producing so much content. I felt like I was in a really bad routine, and it wasn't as such I wasn't passionate about it anymore. It was more about the fact of just getting the content out. I guess my flame, you could call it, was slowly dying off, and eventually it just went back, and I was it just died off, and I was well, I'm just gonna have to step back, and kind of reevaluate things, and then it comes back around. It's one of them things.
Right. And of course, during stressful times, many other interviews that we've had with young producers like yourself have said, COVID is kind of a dream, the pandemic, because it gives us more time to work on our content. But I also agree with you as well. It leads me into my final question. If there was something you could change and you knew that COVID-19 was coming and you knew that the pandemic was coming before anybody else did, what would you do differently?
If I'm being completely honest with you, I keep my life very kind of regimented. So nothing's really changed too much. I was always kind of an introvert guy anyway. I work in construction, and construction hasn't gone down. So like everything's kind of normal still. It's a weird one when people ask that kind of question, because my response is like, well, it is that. It's nothing's really changed for me, as where other people it might be so much more freedom or so much more restrictive. Like I'm still sitting in the middle. Nothing's really changed for me. But if I knew that it was coming to begin with, what I would have done is I probably would have saved a bit more money and bought new VSTs, probably got some new instruments and new monitors for the beats, because I knew the thing is I know it's going to come back at some point. It's one of those things. It's like a wave, man, and
No,
so is life.
I agree.
Yeah, just worked harder, I guess.
I can definitely understand where you're coming from in that aspect. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Speak On It for Mental Health, and we're here with Obeze Beats. Take care, and we'll definitely talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Peace.
Yeah.